Alright, I've got a pet peeve about stuff to do with car stereo. If you can't do it right, you shouldn't be doing it at all, period. My next little task involves this and these $20 crimpers. These will just be along for the ride. As you'll see, got the seat unbolted. Just not that bolt because I got to get the air ratchet in here. But just because I'm not cranking up my compressor to aggravate my neighbors, don't mean I can't work on my car. This is the rat's nest I was talking about. See all the electrical tape down there on the floor? You don't splice in to hook the radio up like that. If you gotta do it like that, you're doing something very wrong. I'm real upset about seeing this. Now, this antenna wire is actually too small to go in a conventional radio. So it's actually, they actually make an adapter to go on this that plugs into a regular radio. It gives you another 4 or 5 inches more of ooh, dang, this seat's hard to sit in like this. Gives you another 4 or 5 inches more to attach the antenna with, which sometimes that's kind of hard to put in there. Don't know if I showed y'all any of this. The thing does have 156,409 original miles on it. And the thing I like, I missed that. The red gauges. Beautiful. It's kind of soothing at nighttime too. Yeah, I made sure it's got a full tank of gas in it now, by God. And I ran out that one day and had to pay $13 for a tank, or for a can. Still haven't gotten the hood replaced. But as you see, headlights both come up and go down just fine. Electric hatch release works. I've already dummy pushed it tonight. But yeah, that piece of junk stereo, that's not even remotely close to what came in here. The one that originally came in, it had a tape deck right here. And it had a bigger amplifier in it. And I'm thinking this radio, being as crappy as it is the reason that the speakers sound like they do. That, or the fact that he's just got wires like this hooked into the speakers in the back. So what I'm going to do is clean this rat's nest up and put some of these connectors back on it. Now, a lot of people I've seen on YouTube here will take a soldering gun and solder those and put a heat shrink over them. I've seen people just solder them and put electrical tape over them. That's not good. Yeah, it holds, but the electrical tape will chafe and come off. That is not going to come off. That's going to hold on to them wires from now till you rip it off. But they actually make, kind of my point of this whole rant, they actually make a plug that slides right on over top of that, that's got the wires that you splice in to the back of the radio. Now, I'd kind of like to put an original radio back in here, but if I can't find a good working, non-tore up, non-broken original radio to put in here, I'll put an aftermarket in it. Those are just sad. Now, on these, thankfully they left me enough wire here that I can take the plug right out and have enough to splice these back together. Blue and light blue are the front, green and light green are the front. These two colors of brown right here are for the back, and this yellow and brown are for the back, unless it's different on this car. Now, you can actually take a battery and hold the ground on the ground side of the battery and touch the ends of these wires. And I'm not talking about a big monster car battery or anything, but you can take like a 1.4 or like a AA or something and hold this ground on the base and then touch the end to each one of the speaker side wires and find out exactly where each one of them goes without doing any harm to it. I don't recommend using anything more than a 1.4, but this is 2, 3, 4, yeah. So these are all related to the power. If I remember right, yellow is a constant. The orange is for your dimmer. And I believe the pink and gray are for the backlighting, and the brown's the 12 volt, if I remember right. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I haven't had to do them because I've not spliced any of mine. I got the grommet that plugs onto here that gives you the same wires on the other side that you mount right to the back of the stereo, to where you're hooking it up the right way, not like this crap. This $20 tool is well worth every penny you'll spend on it. You might not use it that often, but it's still well worth every penny. I will say one thing, the cutter portion of these are not really all they're cracked up to be. So I still recommend using a pair of cutting pliers, or dikes as some people refer to them. Alright. Now this puts a distinct crimp on them. They're not coming undone. See? And the next one is yellow. I'm just going to go right down the line. Actually, it's got a little bit extra copper showing than what I need. See what I'm saying? These are a brand new pair, but I don't know how well you can see, but that's literally all you really need right there. Just about a 1/4 of an inch, if that. Put it in there until you feel the copper wire hit the center. There's a little knock right here in the center in the little aluminum, and you just push the wire in until it hits that. Crimp that puppy down. Now it puts a dimple in this side and crimps on either side of the dimple on this side. Doggone mosquitoes. She's crimped. After a while, these things will cause arthritis. I'm not playing. After 6-8 hours of doing this on multiple cars a day, you'll go home and won't be able to grab a slice of toast. Hands will be so folded up it ain't even funny. Now I always take and get this right where I'm going to crimp it, and then hold the wire in there to make sure it's in there good and tight, and then crimp it down. That way I know it's not coming back out, and it's not going to back out enough to where there's copper showing to short out on something else later on. And I'm actually taking my sweet time doing this because, well, because I can. I'm doing this because this is something I haven't done yet in regards to vehicle repair. Now, while I'm doing this, since it's gonna get kind of monotonous watching this, I'll go over with you what all I need to do. I'm hoping that I can convince Mr. Michael tomorrow to back his little UTV project vehicle out of the barn and let me drive this sucker in and put it on the lift and weld the MagnaFlow catalytic converter on it, because I have to have one for this to pass emissions. Right now it's got a flex pipe. This is a 1992, and basically everything since 84 has to have the pipe. Now, here is where being colorblind would be a severe detriment. Okay. Now, some GM, I'm sure, thought this was a good idea to do these up like this. There are two brown wires. This one's brown with just a solid brown casing on it. The one, where's the other one? The other one has a white tracer. If they had not put this white tracer on, right now I'd be cussing, because I have to stop what I'm doing, go in and get a voltometer, and come out and test it to find out which one of these actually shoots juice through them, and which one is just for the speakers. It's kind of easy to tell because this one's actually a little thicker. A little thicker, a little stiffer copper. Alright. Alright. Now, the things that I actually need for this car are a new hood with the cowl induction stuff in it. A new... Is that the black one? Yeah, it is. Okay. A new window crank. Or window motor assembly, whatever. New weatherproofing seals. because the ignition is in the shape it's in, and the steering wheel, somebody's tried to steal this car before. Doggone it. Just hit the hatch release. Oh well. But because somebody's tried to steal this car before, the steering wheel lock does not work. And the steering wheel isn't really loose. It just, because of it not locking, will not lock this, will not let the key come out of the fly very easy. Okay. This is one of the main things I hate about buying used cars. It's finding stupid stuff like this that people have done. Bad thing is, as short as these idiots cut the wires, you won't be able to do this again. That's why as soon as I can find the proper harness, it will be installed. They're like $6 or $8. That's it. There's no reason not to use and just wire everything up the proper way. Of course, now because they've done things this way in the first place, there's going to be twice as many wire, or twice as much bulk in here, because I've had to go back and do this to keep from having to worry about my wires coming loose, sparking off on something and melting down everything in the interior. Think it won't happen? My 1984 Trans Am with the cowl induction that I had. I think I still got a picture of it somewhere. I think the only one I got now, though, thanks to my mother, is one of it sitting in the weeds just before we fixed it up and sold it. If I can find it, I'll put it in right here. That car was done this way as well, with the electrical tape. And before I even got a chance to put a stereo in it, electrical tape worked its way loose off of the, of course that wasn't a T-top car, it was a hardtop, and it held the heat in really, really well. But before I got a chance to put the set the wiring right, the electrical tape came loose in the heat of the summer down there in Georgia and kind of unwound itself off the wire, and it does happen regularly. That's why I tell you not to use electrical tape. It only takes one day, the right temperature, and that electrical tape will unwind itself. Anyway, the electrical tape backed off of the lines in my console, and I'm riding down the road 45 miles an hour, and all of a sudden my car is full of smoke. I don't know why. Pulled over and saw it was coming from the dash, that the stereo was smoking. Still had the factory stereo in it. Of course it didn't work, but that's kind of common with those, unfortunately. They don't work for long. They might still play the radio, but they wouldn't play tapes. And cassette tapes, children, are what we had before they came out with CDs, or before people could afford to buy CDs. When they first came out with them, CDs weren't so hard to come by or hard to find, but they sure were expensive. And in a car, finding something that would play CDs in a car cheap didn't happen. If you got a CD player for a car, back when I started driving, you spent $400 or $500 to get one. And there we have it. Now, I know some of you trolls are going to say that's not the best way to do things because they can still come loose and blah, blah, blah. You can wire loom that up still. Take a bigger piece than, well, there's not any in here. Somebody's already scurbed all the wire loom out of it. Anyway, you get the larger set of wire loom and you can loom that right up and not know the difference that it was ever even unplugged. But those will hold. Those aren't going to come apart and catch your car on fire. And the way we always test those is with the key. Yeah, see, you can't even just turn the ignition real easy. You gotta monkey with it. Even with it cold, fires right up. And that's another thing I need to do. Get me a conversion kit to convert this over to the 134A air conditioner. This has got the R12 in it. But the thing I do like, look at the speed on that speedometer. 120. I'm gonna have to take this little pin right here out, because one, I don't use a trip set on these things, and two, it won't wrap around again back up to like the 50 or 60 where it can go if this is in there. So I'm probably gonna just take that apart and take that out just to see how far I can wrap it back around later. Of course, there's gonna have to be a whole lot more work done to this car before that'll ever be an issue. And this thing feels like it's got just rack and pinion with no power steering. That's another thing I gotta look at. Rack and pinion might be going out. See here how the airbag's kind of melting back off the frame, just kind of drawing up. Don't really need an airbag anyway, but yeah, now I don't have to worry about my car burning up or it sitting in here and the wires touching stuff and running the battery down at the very least. Don't like seeing fuses in here because that makes me wonder if he's got a short. What the heck does he use this for? Oh well, spare parts. I'll keep all that in here for right now because I'm probably going to wind up having to have it again. Now watch. Turn it off. And try to get it to lock. It won't do it. And it also won't release the key. Takes an act of God and a court order to get that key out of there. Yeah, shoot. There. Now it won't roll forward or back without the key in it. You can't trick it. But like I said, you can hear the lock in there. Somebody smashed it. Either the lock plate itself is busted, which is more than likely the case, or the pin's just bent. Now, that's about an uncomfortable thing to sit on with the bolts out like that. But that's my next endeavor. Get the seats out, get the rust all knocked off of the ends of them right there and all down the track, and get that to where the track will move again. Got a couple cigarette burns there. Is what it is. But I yanked seat out. And got me a little bitty old cheapo 6x9 to put back in there. Oh, there we go. The ones that were in here I've never even heard of. It was some cheapo brand, but they were German. I gotta remember to shut that. But yeah, I've gotten started on it, but I'm taking my sweet time doing everything. Because one, that way I'll know it's right. And two, if I'm not rushing anything, I'm less apt to mess things up. I'm going to replace that door pin. And grease up the door good. That's about the most aggravating thing on this car to me, is that I took the cowl unit out of the hood like that. Obviously they didn't realize what it was or what it did, but they also put a regular air cleaner cover on it, so I got to get that too now. But $500. I don't think I went too far wrong. Thinking about just getting a regular hood to put on this thing. Just paint it black until I get ready to paint the whole thing, because I still got to do some patch up holes in the quarter on the other side anyway. So I'll probably paint it back red again, but I don't know. I want to learn how to paint and do it myself. See what kind of creative I can get with it. This one, the paint's all blowing off my truck. Paint's all blowing off the hood because the idiot that had it before me didn't prep it right and just plain out didn't paint it right. Any of my subscribers that are watching, this is a 1998 Saturn station wagon, the SW2. I need to know if there's a way to get to the fuel pump in this car from the back. It's all grown up because it's been sitting over here for like 6 or 8 months. I'm not doing squat with it. Oh, this don't have the thing. Oh well. But I'm thinking there's a way inside this trunk or under the back seat to get to that fuel pump, but I don't know what it is. All this car needs is a fuel pump and it's good to go again. And that one, I want to get the electrical done. I don't want to mess it up because I put a lot of hard work into that one, a lot of time and effort. So when I get ready to put it, ready to crank it up the first time, do my new start, cold start, I want it to be 100% right. I'm going to check, double check, and triple check every wire, because it's basically going to be just like a brand new truck. And then you got this one, he still hasn't fixed his headlights. Doggone headlights standing out 3 inches off the fender now because he ain't thought to fasten them down like I showed him. But that's kind of the state of the nation here. This is what I'll be doing all weekend. I'll get out here tomorrow and do her brakes on the back of the Suburban so she'll quit driving my doggone truck and tearing it up. It's my truck. If anybody's going to tear it up, it's going to be me, not her, because she tore hers up and can't drive it anymore, or let our son do it. And this Firebird ain't going to be driven by anybody but me. I'm letting that be known right now, because as hard as it is to get parts for this thing anymore, yeah, it'll be me that tears it up. That's all I got though. Thank you guys for watching. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.